comes to tennis players, what are some of the specific skills that tennis players use often but sometimes neglect?
Well, I think the two initial movements that are really important is the ability of pursuit and saccade, the ability to track a ball, and when the ball is moving too fast, to saccade if you have to. So I think those are the core skills. The ability, which I spoke about, the Formula One driver, to pick up information early, pick up the ball off the racket of the opponent, to read what they're doing. They're really tiny little percentages. If you miss it, track too slowly, the ball's going to be on you, your timing's going to be out. It has a role to play in a lot of other skills, getting to the right place on the court at the right time.
Right.
Timing your shots, reading your opponent. I think you mentioned in your book also a little bit about learning what your opponent does, that visual memory. Yes, I've seen that before. This is what so those are all skills that we train for the player.
My understanding of saccadic motion is that it can lead to your eyes sort of shaking and having a gray out of your vision.
Yeah.
So what I've been teaching is for people to use more of their periphery, allowing their mind, their brain to reconcile the blur. So are you familiar with Dr. Peter Fatty? He works with Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But we were having a discussion about the brain's ability to, for lack of a better word, track the blur rather than try to keep pinpoint vision of the moving object, which then would lead to unnecessary eye movement.
Yeah. I think a combination of both is important, depending where the ball's coming from. So I would like to equip my players to do both. I have a belief in a lot of sports, and specifically in tennis. If I pick up that information early, I can predict where the ball's going to go.
Yes.
I believe that skill is probably your most important skill. Sometimes you almost don't have to use those other skills, which you do, you have to. But I mean, if you can predict where the ball is going really well, you definitely have more time and you definitely have an advantage.
There's some vernacular that's been created, and it might not be perfectly scientific or whatnot, but it can be explained anyway. What I've been teaching and some others have been teaching are scanning, tracking, and focusing. So there seems to be this process, and how does one thing transition from the next? I don't know, maybe we don't know, but this scanning to the other side, your full attention will be on the contact point, but you don't necessarily have focused vision on that contact point. And so that allows you to take in the kinematics of the other player.
Yeah.
And that's all very passive. The brain is processing, quite a bit of information, seemingly with no effort. So a scanning, and then sometime after the ball has left the racket, then it's the tracking, which is the reconciliation of that blurring object that you're going to go pursue. And then followed by in the last stages, then focusing on the ball at the very end. So how does that match up with things that you're teaching?
I believe if you scan and pick up information early,
Yeah.
and the really good players become really good at that. It almost, as I said, it buys you time to perform. And then they can use the extras, they can use peripheral and the stuff that you mentioned, which then adds to their performance. I don't know if does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, that's what I was looking for, was some affirmation. I'm trying to break into this area of expertise. When you get to meet Dr. Sherylle Calder, then you realize that there's a lot more to know.